When we are afraid of our shadow and other people's shadow, what happens is we become bifurcated. Although we might be staunch in our opinions that this is the right way, follow the light, love light, and all of that, we actually become oppositional. We become binary, steeped in dualism, this way or that way, right way or no way. I've encountered this on the spiritual awakening journey, and what I've observed since my shadow initiation is that people who are afraid and do not understand the gifts of the shadow, they resist the challenges that the shadow brings. They avoid, they deny responsibility, they shift the blame, they walk away, they do everything in their power except to confront their own shadows. And even light can destroy, and it can create harm unnecessarily, particularly in those that are not willing to be challenged, who cannot see themselves reflected back in a mirror, who are not ready to confront the deeper truths of who they are, not just in the consciousness world, where perhaps they might resonate with an archetype of royalty, elitism, or fame, or power. And yet their three-dimensional world is strikingly absent of those qualities. It creates this perverse sort of addiction to spirituality when combined with avoidance and ego. There's nothing wrong with ego when used properly and in alignment and integrity. But I find that when the alignment and the integrity is absent, what happens is those people are very dangerous, and they do great harm unknowingly, not intentionally, but without understanding the nature of boundaries, the nature of sovereignty, sometimes wanting to merge so completely that there is no disagreement. Because disagreement means challenge. And if somebody maintains their autonomy, and people like this, it's threatening. I remember traversing through a group. I won't share the names or the details because I'm not trying to blast anybody. But this group was addicted to agreement and also sovereignty, and yet was very threatened by those that didn't agree with the insular set of opinions and frameworks that were being espoused within, almost as though sovereignty, being the main principle, was fine as long as you held the same opinions and adapted the same culture, the manner of speech, the way you said hello, the way you didn't challenge authority. And when I did challenge authority and called the leader out on their shadow in private at first, I was met with this amazing I thought it was amazing. Contradiction. Where they told me I was too much in my masculine. And that I needed to soften my edges. Because I was asking them pointed questions about their intentions. Before I join any meditation, I want to understand who and what the person is talking to, because I've had some experiences on the spiritual awakening journey. And I understand that there are lessons of discernment. This particular individual was telling me that my 5D version, who I did not give consent to access in an energetic manner, but they hadn't gotten to that spiritual lesson yet, was much more palatable. And I thought to myself, you don't know me in the 5D, but I believe you that you're interacting with the symbol of who you think that person is. And this particular leader, I actually found to be quite dangerous. Because the way that they were corresponding with me in private was quite different from their public image. And I would later find out when I revealed some of the things that they had said to me in private in the group, and also express my reservations about them potentially turning into a dangerous cult. I had somebody reach out to me privately who had a similar experience. Almost as though this teacher was addicted to seeing themselves as a teacher and not actually holding space for the sovereign beings that they had attracted into this group, despite sovereignty being a shared value. Come over here. We believe in sovereignty. Except when you deviate from our model, it's no different. It's just an illusion. Sovereignty masquerading as compliance? No. Compliance masquerading as sovereignty. The value of shadow is that it protects. And when you are frightened of shadow, you don't know how to use this part of your toolbox because you don't know how to be constructive with it. And part of the shadow initiation journey, for those of you who have not completed it, is that you will be tested with reflections of yourself and others, but also with your discernment of understanding when it's a reflection of you and when it's not. And there's this common refrain that everything is a reflection of you. And I say, when you're unconscious, that's about 80% true. But 20% of that, in my personal experience, are observations of lessons that you've outgrown. So you get to see yourself at a lower position of consciousness reflected in somebody else's behavior. And then the other parts are actually people distinct from you and their shadow. And you have to understand which is which on any given day, any given circumstance. And from person to person, it can actually change. But there is this energy that you can feel when you understand this, because there is a vibration and it feels vampiric in nature. It feels codependent. It feels heavy. It feels needy. It feels threatened. Unless you conform or you reflect an image to somebody that is positive, because everybody likes seeing an image reflected back to them that helps them love themselves more when they struggle with self-love and self-acceptance. And so everybody is very keen on you when you reflect back all the things that you love about them. But when you start to hold people accountable, or you start to implement boundaries, or you start to disagree, you're going to find out very quickly, no matter how aligned somebody is with spirituality and consciousness, and love and light, you're going to understand who they truly are. And even more, when they want something from you, like your intimacy, your vulnerability, your consent, your finances, your worldly possessions, something tangible or intangible of value to them, and you don't give it to them in the way or the time frame that they want, you will understand who they are. And you might be the only person in the world that sees that side of them. And that, my friends, is the beauty of the shadow, especially in soul contracts. Because you see underneath all of the love, all of the promises, all of the magnetism, you see the rotten core sometimes. You see the unhealed parts, the wounded parts. It doesn't even have to be a rotten core for everybody. It's often not. When you start to develop these shadow gifts, you begin to see into the unspoken. You see into the night, into darkness. And when you don't fear darkness, you can actually, like a shaman, pull it out of people for transmutation. It's a gift, but you have to first be willing to see the shadow, to integrate that understanding that just because there are unhealed parts doesn't mean that the whole of the person needs to be discarded. I like to see it as fractals of energy. And in any given vibration, a person is going to have certain activations. And when there's a rooted shadow, what happens is, on the surface, you'll see conditioned behavior. You'll see the curated persona. But underneath it, as you get closer and closer to that person, the vibration is going to change. As you start to threaten them, to activate them, to challenge them, to hold that mirror up. Sometimes just asking what somebody's intentions are is enough to do that. Because anybody who cannot tell you what their intentions are is dangerous, in my personal opinion. Because it means that they either don't know because they're not conscious yet of their intentions, which means they are subject to feelings and sensations that drive their behavior that they are clueless about. Or it means that they are hiding their intentions and they know that you won't approve because they want something from you that they're not being honest about. And that's a more intentionally malignant type that most people are not. Most people are actually completely unaware of what is driving their behavior, but they might still lead retreats. They might still teach on platforms that are quite sizable. And they might maintain a public image that hides the actual cruelty inside. The problem with avoidance, and I don't mean those with avoidant attachment style entirely, I just mean avoidant type of behaviors. The unwillingness to see, to address, to recognize in oneself or in others is that eventually you're going to get blindsided. Self-denial, ignoring your intuition, these are all parts of the self-mastery journey. And when you get to wisdom and discernment and your shadow initiation, you are going to be met with unsavory characters masquerading as palatable, enjoyable experiences, divinely orchestrated for your arrival to your maximum potential. But when you are unwilling to harness the wisdom of the shadow journey, you delay your progress and you subjugate yourself to other people's manipulations, unwanted advances, conning, trickery, all sorts of shadow games. And if you're unaware of this part of your spiritual awakening journey, you might feel confused. Like, why is this happening to me? Especially when you hear all of your experiences are a reflection within. And you're like, I don't think so. I know myself pretty well now. And I don't participate in that, whatever that is. And it will be just my personal opinion, having witnessed this. Those exact people that are in their shadow, gaslighting you about your own intuition, as what happened to me in that group, which is why I called that person out. Telling you that your questions are the problem. You need to soften your edges. You need to just trust. You should always be able to ask people questions about their behavior, about their intentions, and why they are treating you differently in private than in public, as well as anything else that gives you reason to concern that somebody is not in alignment or in integrity. Now, I happen to believe in systems of karma and justice. So I believe that all of these matters are taken care of in the end. But if you find yourself suffering at the hands of somebody who you believed was supposed to lead you into a beautiful experience, finding yourself hurt, traumatized, abused, whatever it happens to be, this is your invitation to rise. They are your growth fuel. If you allow it to activate you in a deeper way, you will find your voice. You will find your true self. You will find your power. You will heal deep, deep wounds of inauthenticity, of people-pleasing, of avoidance, of self-abandonment and self-betrayal. You will allow yourself to be seen, to be witnessed, and to be heard. And at some point, you will recognize that shadow protects. The beauty of shadow is that it protects you. And ego combined with shadow is a very powerful boundary, demanding of clarity, of justice, of honor, of righteousness, accountability, rectification of situations. There was a quote that I saw on a documentary about a cult, Wild, Wild Country, I believe it was. And it's a fascinating story of how things go very wrong in what was supposed to be utopia. This Indian guru has a second in command, and she's heavy in her shadow. He sort of fades to the background as she takes over, and what ends up unfolding is pretty dramatic and frightening. Life or death frightening. And the atrocious acts that were proposed and actually done were, at the best, verging on paranoia, and at the extreme was unwarranted retaliation for trying to be held accountable. But there was a quote in there that was referenced. It's a famous quote, but this is the first time that I saw it, and was something to this effect. I don't necessarily have it memorized, but I have the point. Evil presides when good men say and do nothing. Evil presides when good men say or do nothing. You see, what I've learned about people in their shadow is that they want you to submit into silence and non-action. And when you submit, you give them free rein. And this is why, until you recognize how to use the shadow, you will always struggle in situations like this. Until you find that voice inside that tells you how you need to act and how you need to move, sometimes very silently, until a certain moment when everything flips and you're there standing face to face with somebody in their shadow. What do you do? Do you love and light them? Sometimes that's the answer, but sometimes it's not. Because sometimes people heavy in their shadow love to destroy light, destroy innocence, and destroy vulnerability. So what do you do then when your love and your light and your vulnerability actually fuels their desire to extinguish you? shadow protects. But you have to understand how it's asking you to rise to the occasion. And you have to understand the tools that it provides for you, the clarity that it offers, and the wisdom that generates as a result. And when we are lost in the illusion of love and light, rainbows and unicorns and utopias, and we stay silent, we go against our intuition, that's when we see the worst. Because when we fear holding people accountable, such as in that documentary, it was on Netflix, I don't know if it's still there, when somebody is being asked to take somebody's life, even though it goes against that feeling inside, and they actually fear the repercussions of saying no more than murder, what do you think happens? There are great gifts waiting for you if you lean into the shadow initiation when it comes for you. Until next time.